I never expected a stranger I found stranded on a deserted highway to become the person who would save my life in return. I thought I was offering a small act of kindness to someone who had nowhere else to turn, but years later I realized that one moment of compassion had changed two broken lives forever. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, hope, and second chances, please like this video, leave a comment, share this story with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue sharing emotional journeys that remind us of the good still left in the world. My name is Everett Caldwell, and for most of my adult life, I believed I understood people. I ran a small auto repair garage outside a quiet town where everyone knew everyone, and I had spent nearly 20 years fixing engines, replacing tires, and helping people get back on the road. My hands were always covered in grease, my clothes always smelled like metal and oil, and my days were usually predictable. I liked it that way because predictable was easier than dealing with the pain I had carried for years. I had once been the kind of person who believed every problem had a solution. But after losing my younger brother in a tragic accident and watching my family slowly fall apart from grief, I became someone who kept his emotions locked away. I helped others because I knew what it felt like to need help, but I rarely allowed anyone to help me. My garage became my entire world. The old building, the worn tools, and the familiar sound of engines were the only things that never left me. The story began with a moment that I still struggle to explain. One early morning, while driving along a quiet highway after a long day of work, I found a woman standing beside a broken-down car. The memory of that brief moment from the previous night had always stayed with me, but everything that truly changed our lives happened afterward, during the daylight hours that followed. I had stopped because I noticed the fear and exhaustion in her face, and something inside me told me that leaving her there was not an option. Her name was Maren Whitaker. She was not someone who looked helpless, even though life had clearly been unfair to her. She carried herself with a quiet strength, the kind of strength that comes from surviving things most people never see. Her car had serious mechanical problems, and she had no immediate way to continue her journey. I offered to help, expecting nothing in return. I thought I was simply doing what any decent person would do. The next day, when the sun was bright over the town and my garage doors opened for business, I was shocked to see Maren walking through the entrance. She was holding a small envelope and looking at the rows of tools and old vehicles around her. She had come to the garage not just to thank me, but to make a request that I never saw coming. Maren told me she had spent years running from her past. She had left behind a successful career, a comfortable home, and a life that looked perfect from the outside because she had made one mistake that cost her everything. She had trusted the wrong people, ignored the warning signs, and eventually lost the company she had built with her own hands. The betrayal had damaged her confidence so deeply that she no longer believed she was capable of rebuilding her life. She explained that she wanted to start over, but she had no idea where to begin. She had noticed something about my garage when she first arrived. It was not the newest or most impressive place in town, but it was filled with signs that someone cared. The old waiting area was clean, the broken chairs were repaired instead of thrown away, and every customer was treated like a person instead of a payment. She believed that someone who could create that kind of place might understand what it meant to rebuild something broken. At first, I was uncomfortable with her request. I had spent years avoiding close connections, and suddenly someone I barely knew was asking me to let her become part of my world. I wanted to say no. I wanted to keep my simple routine and avoid another emotional burden. But when I looked at Maren, I saw something familiar. I saw someone who was not asking for a favor because she was weak. She was asking because she was brave enough to admit she needed a chance. I offered her a temporary position helping with the business side of the garage. I needed someone to organize records, handle customer appointments, and manage things I had ignored for years because I was more comfortable fixing machines than dealing with paperwork. I expected the arrangement to last a few weeks. Instead, it became the beginning of a transformation neither of us expected. Maren brought new energy into a place I had allowed to become forgotten. She noticed customers who needed extra patience, remembered small details about their lives, and reminded me that every vehicle arriving at the garage carried a person with a story. Slowly, the garage became more than a repair shop. It became a place where people felt respected. But rebuilding was never easy. Some people in town questioned why I trusted someone with such a mysterious past. Rumors spread that Maren was hiding something. A few customers stopped coming because they believed the worst without knowing the truth. I could feel the old walls around my heart beginning to rise again. Part of me wanted to protect myself and push her away before I could get hurt. Then one afternoon, while organizing old records, I discovered the reason Maren had lost everything. It was not because she was careless or dishonest. She had taken responsibility for a mistake that someone else had made. She had protected employees who depended on her and accepted blame because she believed leadership meant standing in front of the storm instead of hiding behind others. That discovery changed the way I saw her. I realized that sometimes people are not broken because they failed. Sometimes they are broken because they cared too much and carried burdens that were never meant to be theirs alone. As months passed, Maren helped me face something I had avoided for years. She encouraged me to talk about my brother and the guilt I carried after his death. I had convinced myself that moving forward meant forgetting the past, but she helped me understand that healing was not about forgetting. It was about learning to remember without letting pain control every decision. For the first time in years, I allowed myself to grieve openly. I repaired the old motorcycle my brother had left behind, something I had kept hidden in the back of my garage because looking at it hurt too much. When I finally brought it into the sunlight and restored it, I felt like I was honoring his memory instead of running from it. Maren also changed. The confident person others saw was slowly replacing the frightened person who arrived needing help. She began believing in herself again. She started teaching young people in town basic business skills and volunteered at a local community center that helped people who were trying to rebuild after difficult situations. The biggest surprise came when a major company offered to buy my garage property. The money would have allowed me to retire comfortably, and many people told me it was the smart choice. For a moment, I considered accepting because I was tired. I had spent so many years working alone that the idea of walking away seemed peaceful. But then I looked around the garage and saw what it had become. I saw customers who had become friends. I saw young mechanics who had learned valuable skills. I saw a place that represented second chances. I realized I was not just repairing cars anymore. I was helping people find their way forward. Instead of selling, Maren and I expanded the business. We created a program that gave opportunities to people who were struggling to find work because of past mistakes or difficult circumstances. We believe that a person's worst moment should not define their entire life. Years after I first saw Maren beside that highway, I still think about how easily I could have driven past. I could have convinced myself that someone else would stop. I could have ignored a stranger's struggle because it was not my problem. But one small choice to show kindness created a friendship that changed everything. Maren once came into my life needing someone to help repair her broken car, but she ended up helping repair parts of me that I thought were beyond fixing. She reminded me that everyone carries invisible damage, and sometimes the smallest act of compassion can become the beginning of a completely different future. Before this story ends, I want to ask you something. What is one lesson you have learned about kindness, forgiveness, or giving people a second chance? Please leave a meaningful comment and share your thoughts with our community because your words might encourage someone who is silently fighting their own battle. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, leave a meaningful comment, share it with someone who needs hope today, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss another emotional journey. Because sometimes the person we stop to help is not just someone waiting for a second chance. Sometimes they are the person who reminds us that we deserve one too. And sometimes a simple moment of kindness on an ordinary day becomes the reason two people finally find their way home.